Okay, we're all set up. Thanks for joining us on our second edition of this Periscope live chat on Badgers football. As people start to kind of file in here, I'll just again say that I hope you guys have been listening to the Red Zone podcast that I started up back in August during fall camp. We talked to Jim Polzine this week about the Alabama game and just where the Badgers go from here after the loss. It was a good, it was a good chat. You should check it out. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, and check it out if you haven't listened to it. If you guys have any questions about the Badgers, just type them in the comments section, and I would do my best to answer them. J.J. Watt, that's not a question, but he's quite a football player. I have been watching Hard Knocks. I haven't seen the last episode yet, but kind of gave me a better appreciation for how good of a player J.J. Watt is. I didn't cover the team when he was here at Wisconsin, and of course I watch him on Sundays, but just how athletic he is. The clip of him throwing the ball to the upper deck right on the money to some of those fans, and if you guys have seen Hard Knocks and just the jugs machine, what he can do on there. But he's pretty incredible. How bad do you miss Melvin Gordon? I do miss covering Melvin Gordon. I mean, obviously he makes the he makes covering the team a lot better. When you've got a guy that's chasing the Heisman, who's rushing for 2,500 yards, just makes it a lot more fun to cover. He's really fun to watch play, and he was always a pretty good quote too. So from a journalist's perspective, I think it was great. It was great covering him. What are the Badgers' chances of going 12-4? 12-4 is pretty good, but I don't think they play 16 games, so I don't think that's going to happen. There was one other question there. I'm trying to remember what it was. You can ask it again if you're still on here and you remember it. Watt's duo at Wisconsin. Don't really know. That's not really a question, I guess. But I really like Derek Watt this year. Backup quarterback. Let's do that. The backup quarterback situation. Bart Houston is the backup right now. Chris came out, I think it was the week of the Alabama game, and ended up, or maybe it was the week before, and said that Bart Houston was the number 2. I don't think that means Houston is definitely going to be the starter next year. I think that's going to be a pretty big competition next year between Houston, DJ Gillens, and Alex Hornibrook. I think all of them are going to be in a tight battle, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of the three won it. Even though Hornibrook will be a redshirt freshman, I really wouldn't be surprised if he went on and took the job next year. House Caputo, he was Paul Chris just told us a couple hours ago that he's been cleared to play Saturday, so Michael Caputo will be out there for the Badgers. It's pretty surprising after seeing the video that obviously lining up on the wrong side of the field. It seems like a pretty severe injury when you look at the video, but Caputo said yesterday that his symptoms didn't really match that of a concussion. Whether he has one or not, I don't really know. I'm not a doctor, but he has been cleared to play. So if he had a concussion, then he doesn't have one anymore, according to the medical staff here. And you can expect to see him against Miami of Ohio on Saturday. So that's going to be a big boost for the Badgers. It's not like they needed him to win this game. They didn't really need him to win the next 3 games, honestly. But it's be nice to get him back out there. It's really great that it's not a serious injury. Derrick Henry is a monster. The Badgers aren't gonna have to tackle a guy like Derrick Henry in this next game. So should be a little bit of a relief for them to kind of go up against an opponent that's was 2-10 last year out of the MAC, rather than Alabama. If you have any other questions, just leave them in the comment box. How's Melvin going to do in San Diego? That's an interesting question. He's been kind of up and down. He had that first preseason game where he didn't look good at all, and then he got injured, so no one could really see him after that. So we haven't really seen him a whole lot. I think he played in one more preseason game, and it was against the Seahawks. Did okay. I think he's going to do pretty well this year. I think he's not going to get a whole lot of third down work to start off. They've got Danny Woodhead there, who's a great pass catcher, and I think they like him on third down. So, but Gordon will be the starter. He'll get the first and second down work, and I think he'll have a pretty good rookie year. If you guys want to McAvoy more of a factor, yes, I think he will be. I think against Alabama, a couple of factors kind of kept him from being really a factor in the offense. I think first he was a little limited. He hurt his hamstring the week before, still wasn't 100%. So that had a lot to do with it, and then the fact that I don't think the Badgers really thought that they could take a lot of shots downfield against Alabama. As you could see, they were trying to work the tight ends, work the fullbacks and the running backs in the passing game, and kind of going down the field that way. I know a lot of fans wanted them to take a little more shots, take a few more shots in the second half, and maybe they should have at least tried. But I think against this game, against a weaker opponent, for a 6'6" guy like McAvoy, who's 100% now from everything we've heard, I do expect him to be more involved in the offense. And Chris said as much on Monday that they wanted to get him more involved. I saw one question that said, will Monty Ball be picked up? And I think somebody will give him a chance. I think I think the Browns, I heard the Browns showed some interest in him. That remains to be seen what they do. I think right now they only have a couple of healthy backs on their roster. So I think the Browns are definitely looking for a running back. Maybe they'll get him. He'll be running behind a good offensive line if he goes there. I think, he did clear waivers, but I do think someone will take a chance on him. While we're waiting for another question, you guys can check out madison.com. We have a couple stories up today, one on Caputo that should be up there soon, and then another one. I did our film room piece this week on Miami of Ohio's offense and why the Badgers will really bounce back as a front seven this week. Miami of Ohio gave up more sacks last year than all but 5 teams in FBS, I think. And their offensive line, you could see against Presbyterian last week that there were some issues there. They're returning 3 starters. So I kind of break down that film in that piece and kind of show why I think the front seven is going to have a big day on Saturday. So check that out on madison.com if you're looking for something to read. And again, check out our podcast, The Red Zone, this week if you haven't already. If you have any more questions, just put them in the comment box, and I'll do my best to get them answered. I know there might have been one other one that I missed, but just keep asking it if I don't answer it, and I will get around to it. What do you guys think the score is going to be on Saturday? I'm guessing none of you will think the Badgers are going to lose, but you want to have a strong opinion on a score for Saturday? 36-6. I think that's pretty similar to the one I threw out that's going to be in the paper on Saturday. I think I said 45-6 if I'm not mistaken. I think, like I said, I think the Badgers defense will bounce back in a big way. 6 points, I don't think they're going to allow a touchdown. I think this Miami of Ohio offense still has a lot of work to do, and especially getting Caputo back, that'll really help. Any other questions? Thanks for the heart. I appreciate it. What do you think? Redhawks crushed the Badgers. Well, I really don't see that happening, but I guess crazier things have happened. What do you think about our vanilla offense? Yeah, I guess I touched on that a little bit earlier. A lot of fans wanted them to take a few more shots down the field against Alabama. I think it was just more, I guess they just didn't have the confidence to take those shots downfield against Alabama's secondary, and I think that they maybe didn't trust the offensive line to protect long enough for Stabby to sit back there and take those deep shots. I thought in the second half, once they got down 3 scores, Stabby, you said Stabby looked good. You got to take a shot. I kind of agree, especially when you go down 3 scores. You gotta try to do something at that point. And I think that again in this game, I think they'll take a lot more shots. I think against obviously a worse opponent in Miami of Ohio, and just the way Stabby, I liked the way Stabby looked last year. I mean, not last year, last week. I think he was really solid. I think against a really good defense, he really did his job. And I know he wasn't asked to do a whole lot, but he had a couple of really nice throws, threw for a high percentage. Just only had a couple that were really off. So I think it was an encouraging performance from Stabby. And I think as the year goes along, in the offensive line, especially when the offensive line gets more intact, and Kristen, the offensive coaching staff, can kind of trust that they'll protect Stabby back there. I think you'll see a lot more shots down the field. Did it feel funny covering Bama since you went to school there? No, it didn't really. I think it was fun for me to see. I know a lot of guys that still cover the team, so I got to see them for the first time in a while. And it was just nice kind of being back and seeing people that I knew. But I covered. When I was in school, I covered the Alabama for about 3 years, and I guess it's a different dynamic working for student media. But I kind of got used to covering that team without, even back when I was a fan of the team. I got used to covering the team while staying professional and not really getting into the game emotionally or anything like that. So it was great to cover that team again, just to see some of the people, but. It wasn't too weird. Anybody else have any other questions? Put this over a little bit. Say hello to my brother John. I will. I guess John Smalley's your brother, I would assume. So yeah, I'll tell him hi. He's editor at our paper, so I will give him the word. What about running Watt as a tight end instead of a fullback? Yeah, I think you will see. I think you will see a lot of that. I saw that in camp some. He was putting a little bit of an H-back role. They would. I even saw him in practice a couple of times lined out wide and running a route from. As a wide receiver, so I think they're going to utilize him a lot in the passing game. I know he was mainly still a fullback in the Alabama game, but I think you're going to see a lot of him kind of lined up in different areas of the field, and I think they're really going to kind of take advantage of his pass catching ability. He's got really great hands, runs good routes, so yeah, I think you are going to see a lot of that. I saw someone ask if the Badgers will ever win a national title. It's hard to predict. I don't see them winning one really in the near future. I don't think they quite have the talent level of some of the top teams in the country. Obviously, they've been right there, though. They've been ranked in the top 10 before. They've been to Rose Bowls. They've won Rose Bowls. And if you're winning a Rose Bowl, winning a BCS Bowl, you're really not that far off from getting a chance to win a national championship. So I think it's definitely possible they could have one year where it kind of all comes together for them. Like I said, they don't quite have the talent that an Ohio State has, or as we saw in Alabama has, or some of the teams like that. But I think they, you never say never. I mean, if you're talking about will they ever win one, I think they could, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. I saw a question about basketball recruits. I don't cover the basketball team, so I don't have a really good gauge on any basketball recruits. Haven't really looked at any of them or done any research on them. Jim Polzine, who we talked to on the podcast this week, he's our guy for Badgers basketball, and I'm sure he'll have some live chats still when basketball season gets a little closer. So just watch out for that. Keep going to madison.com and checking out his work, and he'll be able to answer any basketball question that you have. Any other questions about the football team? Or you can ask. I mean, you guys can ask me about anything really. I'll try to answer it if I can. If I can't, then I won't. But I guess for those who weren't on earlier, I'll go ahead and mention our podcast again. I'm trying to push it pretty hard, but it's called The Red Zone. If you haven't listened to it, go to iTunes and subscribe to it. Makes it a lot easier to listen to when you subscribe to it on iTunes. It's just we'll have one every week during the season that publishes Wednesday morning, and it's good stuff. Like I mentioned, we talked to Jim Polzine this week. I talked about the Alabama game, where the Badgers go from here. It's a good conversation. Last week we talked to Kirk Herbstreit, so it was so it's good. I think it's going well. So check out that podcast if you haven't already. You guys have any other questions for me? Don't have quite as many viewers as last week. I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that Wisconsin's playing Miami of Ohio this week and not Alabama. But we can talk about anything you want. We can talk about the Badgers. We can talk about Miami of Ohio. We can still talk about the Alabama game, even though it's a few days away. Just any questions you have, just leave in the comment box, and I will try to get to them. I think one interesting thing that Dave Aranda told me yesterday is that this Miami of Ohio team likes to go five wide a lot. They're a fast tempo offense. They're a team that likes to get out and run, and I think that's kind of something the Badgers haven't really seen a whole lot. Alabama did a little bit. They've had a couple opponents in the past that have done it. I think that's going to be one of the biggest challenges this week for Wisconsin, is just kind of keeping up with that. And even though they do have a lot more talent on defense than Miami of Ohio does on offense, Aranda said that the Badgers will see more deep balls than they have in a very, very long time with this Miami of Ohio team. He said whenever a defense brings pressure on them, they do like to kind of max protect and throw it up to a one-on-one coverage. So I think Sojourn Shelton and Darius Hillary are going to have to have good days. They're going to be tested. I think Shelton was tested against Alabama, and he did a fantastic job of kind of handling that. The makeup speed he had on that one play near the end of the first quarter was incredible, and he made a great play on the ball. And there were a couple other times he was tested, and I think he really, really stood out. If you have any other questions, just put them in the comment box, and I will do my best to answer for the 8 people that are watching me right now. I think another thing that Aranda kind of talked about yesterday is just how the youth, Alabama threw some stuff at them that they weren't really expecting, kind of some up-tempo stuff, some spread style stuff instead of the pro style. And so, I think what Aranda said is he's got to make sure that these young guys in the middle of the defense are more prepared and ready to, I guess, kind of adjust. And I think that, he said he's got to make sure that if he needs to simplify stuff, then that's what he's got to do. And I think you may see, you kind of saw some of those young guys a little bit overwhelmed, missing some gaps. I think the Badgers, at least for the next few weeks, may try to simplify things on that end of the ball and, allow allow some of those young guys to kind of work themselves in and get some more experience. So I think that's one change you may see defensively. Any other questions? See a few more people just joined. You can leave a question if you want a question answered. Just leave it in the comment box. And if you haven't listened to our podcast, The Red Zone, make sure you subscribe to it on iTunes. It looks like we're pretty light on questions today, and I know. Oh, here's one. What would have happened if Wisconsin upset Ohio State last year and played the Ducks in the Rose Bowl? Well, that's an interesting question because obviously it would have been just a huge win for the program to go to another Rose Bowl and have that another opportunity. It is interesting to think whether that would have affected Gary Anderson's decision to leave for Oregon State or not. I know he was kind of frustrated with some of the recruiting restrictions here at Wisconsin, but if he had a chance to take coach his team in a Rose Bowl, would that have swayed his decision at all? I really don't know. I really don't know what his thought process was there, but it's interesting to think about. If they would have won that game against Ohio State, what that would have done for the program, and what it would have done for possibly Gary Anderson still being here instead of Paul Chryst coming back. I think obviously when you go to a Rose Bowl, a big game like that, it would have helped recruiting. So I think a lot of, I don't think it would have really said anything different for this year. I think, you could have looked at that game and said, if Wisconsin was able to beat Ohio State, they are, they're competing against some of the best teams in the country now. But a lot of people forget that Wisconsin was actually favored in that game, I think by 4 points, which you look back now and it's kind of ridiculous to look at it like that. But some people were actually picking Wisconsin to win that game, and I know it didn't work out, but it's I think it's interesting with Gary Anderson's departure a week later, what could have been different. Any other questions? Do you think the Ducks sneak out a win in East Lansing Saturday? I don't think they will. I think Michigan State's going to pull it off. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think if you look at that game last year, when Michigan State went to Oregon, Michigan State started that game really well, and they really started off well, and they really kind of put some fear into Oregon, I think, at the beginning of that game before Oregon really got going. And I think Marcus Mariota was a big reason why Oregon was able to come back and kind of win that game. And with him gone this year, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher going to East Lansing. So I think Michigan State's going to pull off that win. I think it'll be a really good game, though. You think Oregon's going to sneak it out? Hey, maybe they will. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it could go either way. I'm not sure what the line on the game is right now, but I think it should be a really really tight contest, and it's one of the games I'm really looking forward to this week. Any other questions? We'll go for a few more minutes here if there are any more questions out there that you want answered about the Badgers or the Big Ten or anybody in the country. Just let me know. Okay, well, there weren't a lot of, let's see, we got one here. How about running back last year, how does he do for the Chargers? Well, I talked about this a little bit earlier in the chat. It's Melvin Gordon, who's with the Chargers now, and I think he's going to have a good year. I think he's got a really good chance to be Rookie of the Year, especially with Todd Gurley kind of coming off that ACL injury, and Amari Cooper being in an offense with the Raiders that may not be, that great, especially with Derek Carr throwing to him. I think Gordon's got a really good opportunity. He'll be the starter. He'll get at least all the first and second down work, and I think he'll have a good year. Any other questions? Okay, well, I appreciate you guys joining us today. We're going to go ahead and end the chat for right now. I know the questions were, I will go ahead and say, take this question. What's your prediction on the Badgers record? I said before, last week's game, I was going to go with 10-2 for the regular season. Originally I went with 9-3, losing to Nebraska, but now I think they're going to go 10-2, and I think the game that's going to catch them, besides last week, is going to be the at Maryland game. That's going to be kind of a surprise there, but I think that's their 10th straight game without a bye. It's going to be in a place that these guys have never played before, against a team that still has some talent, even though didn't have the greatest record last year. So I'm still thinking 10-2. I think the Alabama game went about as I expected. About as I expected last week. I didn't think the Badgers would be able to win that game, so still going with 10-2 for the year. So if you guys have any other questions, I can take them. If not, we'll go ahead and let's see. How will they fare against Ohio State? Well, they have to make it to the Big Ten Championship game first before they play Ohio State. I think they will. I think that first road game against Nebraska, second conference game after Iowa at home, is going to be kind of the big game for them, for Wisconsin. I think if they're able to win that Iowa-Nebraska game, they're really on the inside track in terms of winning the West again and going back to Indianapolis. I think it will happen. Like I mentioned before, I think they're going to go 7-1 in the conference. So how will they do against Ohio State once they get there? Those are the two teams that play. I think that, look, it's not going to be 59-0 again. I think that was I don't think the Badgers are that much worse than Ohio State. But I definitely don't think the Badgers are talented enough to win that game either. I think you'll probably see something similar to the Alabama game last week, where the Badgers defense maybe keeps them in the game for a while, but in the first half. But in the end, I think Ohio State would just be a little bit too talented. Is Vince B okay? I guess that means Vince Beagle. I don't know any problem with Vince Beagle. I think he's 100% healthy, ready to go. Don't think anything's wrong with him. So, what spread would I put on it? I guess you're talking about if Wisconsin were to play Ohio State. That's a good one. I think I'd probably put. Let's see. The Alabama game was ranged anywhere from 10 to 14. So I think it'd be pretty similar to that. Maybe Ohio State by 13, something like that. Somewhere between 10 and 14. I think the Badgers, I think the Badgers could at least stay in the game for a while. I don't think, like I mentioned, I don't think it would be a complete blowout again. But I don't think they'd be able to win. You would say 30. No, I don't think the Badgers would be 30-point underdogs. I mean, if you predict them to lose by 30, I think that's possible. But I really doubt if the Badgers are good enough to make it back to Indy that they would be 30-point underdogs against anybody in the country. It's pretty significant. Any other questions? Saw a few more people just join, so if you have any questions, just leave them just send them my way. And how old are you? I am 26 years old. Graduated from Alabama in 2011. A lot of people say I look younger than 26, but yeah, I even went to this pool I swim at this past winter, and guy asked me, "You're 18, right?" So that was kind of, didn't really appreciate that, but I think I look older than 18. But yeah, if you have any more questions about the Badgers, just send them my way. Saw a few more people just join, so you still have some time for few more minutes for questions if you want to get those answered. Again, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast, The Red Zone, on iTunes, make sure you do that. It's great for just if you're going on a run or driving in the car, just something to listen to if you don't want to listen to music. So. I don't think our receivers are nearly good enough, and we couldn't run the ball either. Yeah, the offense doesn't look good right now. It really doesn't. The offensive line didn't look very good. The Badgers ran for 40 yards against Alabama. It was their lowest since 2012. The receivers, outside of Alex Erickson, Wheelwright caught a couple balls and caught a late touchdown that was kind of meaningless. But I think it'll improve. I think you can't really judge this team just on the Alabama game. I mean, they're facing a team with a lot more talent, and especially in the front seven, that Alabama front seven. A lot of people think it's one of the best front sevens that Alabama's had under Nick Saban, which is saying a lot considering the front sevens they had back in that 09 to 11 range. So, I think Tanner McAvoy wasn't 100%. So in terms of the receiving core, he'll at least give you more than he did last week. I think, obviously Clement had the injury too, so he's going to be healthy by the time Big Ten play starts, I would assume. Paul Chris said today that he's actually a game time decision for this week. They're going to kind of put him through pregame warm-ups and see how he does. But again, they don't need Corey Clement to win this game against Miami of Ohio, and even if he's questionable at all, I would just sit him. But I think the offense, you're going to see the offense get a lot better, especially these next 3 weeks. And then when they start conference play, hopefully the offensive line is they kind of shore that up a little bit. Those guys have a little bit more experience, and they don't play Alabama again the rest of the season, so that's a plus. The rest of their schedule is pretty soft, so I think you'll start to see some improvement. So a couple more people just joined. So if you have any questions, just shoot them my way. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and end the chat now. I appreciate you guys joining us. It was fun again. You didn't have quite as much traffic and questions as last week, but that's understandable. They're not playing the number 3 team in the country this week. I appreciate you guys for joining us and participating. And we'll try this again next week. I will talk to you later.